Alrighty, for your first mobility video, we're going to focus on low back. I find that a lot of people say they have low back pain, so it's a little bit of abdominal work, it's a little bit of stretching that will hopefully relieve some low back pain. So, you don't need anything, just your mat. I'll talk through some modifications as we go, so you can just follow along. First thing we're going to do is some segmented cat-cows. So start in a tabletop position. Come into a cow position as you draw your shoulders down your back. Push your tailbone up towards the ceiling and take your gaze forward. Now pause here and take a few breaths. Feel how your wrists can energetically slide towards your knees. It's as if you're going to slide your hands forward, but maybe they're stuck in mud. Draw your shoulders down your back to pull your chest farther forward to squeeze out a little bit more extension. Hold here, inhale, and then exhale, cat pose. Scoop your tailbone under, let your head hang heavy. Push your hands into your mat. Imagine you're trying to pull your spine up towards the ceiling. So instead of sliding your hands towards your knees, this time you're actually trying to slide your hands away from your knees so that you have a little bit more flexion in your spine. Good. Now we're going to move one vertebrae at a time, starting from the very base of your spine, your tailbone, all the way up to the crown of your head. So if you need to rest and watch first, you can. If not, you'll follow along. Start to tip your tailbone up. Keep looking at your belly button. Keep pressing your hands into your mat. As you move through your lumbar spine, your low back, start to peel up your spine one vertebrae at a time. Once you feel you start to move your shoulders, or the spine between your shoulders, you can start to drag your wrists back towards your knees, fully coming into extension. Hold it here. Good. Now find a spot to look at straight in front of you. You're going to stare at that for as long as you can. Start to tip your tailbone under, still pulling your wrists back towards your knees. Scoop your tailbone, nice and smooth and controlled. Then again, once you start to get between your shoulders, you press. And then when you finally can't look at your spot anymore, you drop your head and look towards your belly button. We're going to go through two more. I'll count you through. We're going to do 10 seconds moving forward into into cow, and then 10 seconds moving into cow. So scoop your tailbone under for 10. Start to move up your back, 9. Take your time, 8, 7, 6, 5. Slide your shoulders down your back, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take a breath here, inhale. Hold for your exhale. And then move from the base of your spine, roll up for 10. 9, 8, 7, 6. Start to press your hands down, 4, 3, I know I skipped over 5, 2, and 1. I was counting 5 in my head, but I didn't say it out loud. Good, hold here for one more breath. And exhale. Good, you can rest back onto your knees. Shake your hands up. If that felt really good for you, go ahead and hit pause and go through a couple more, or at the end you can go through a couple more. So we're going to do an exercise called dead bug. I'm not exactly sure why it's called dead bug, but I like to imagine I don't really imagine it, but my analogy is imagine there's a bug underneath your back and you're trying to squish it. Or you can get a pen cap and push that underneath your back and kinesthetically feel what that feels like to push the pen cap down. So you're laying flat on your back. Bring your legs up to a reverse tabletop position and flex your feet. The full dead bug is your arms up. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's just focus our arms down by our side and focus on our core. So pull your belly button in towards your spine and smush your whole back firmly down into your mat. Again, if you have a little pen cap, slide it underneath your low back right, underneath your spine, and you'll really feel that tactile feedback as you push down into the pen cap. So with dead bug, it's extensions from your hip. So oftentimes we think about pushing from our knee, and I want you to move and extend from your hip. So right now, let's just keep our legs locked into this 90-degree angle. Extend from your hip, push your thigh away to drop your right heel down. Exhale, lift. Push your left thigh away, drop your heel down. Exhale, lift. Let's go 2 more just like that. Right heel down. And lift. And if you want to place your hands on your hips, inhale, lower. Exhale, lift, so you can really feel your leg pushing away. And lift. Last time on your left. And lift. Keep your foot flexed, feet flexed. Now reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Just your right arm, you're going to reach your right arm overhead. Let your thumb touch the ground. Exhale, center. Left thumb touches the ground. Exhale, center. Go a few more just like this. And as you move your arm overhead and lift, careful that your ribs do not arch here. You want to keep your whole spine flat to your mat, making sure that your ribs don't pull away from one another. We'll go last time left and center. Now we're going to go into the full dead bug, moving opposite arm and opposite leg. And if this ever feels like it's a kind of pat the head, rub the belly exercise, just focus on your legs and keep your arms up. If you're ready, extend your right leg and your left arm. Exhale, lift. Left leg, right arm. Exhale, lift. And again, right leg, left arm. Exhale, lift. Left leg, right arm. Sharp exhale through your mouth. And let's go a few more, alternating sides. And again, you can do this without your arms. Just keep your arms lifted. And if that feels like not your jam right now and you need to lower your arms down, you can as well. Maybe you have an injury that you're nursing and you want to keep your arms resting. That's okay as well. Making sure your low back stays nice and tight, squeezing your abdominals in. Let's go once more on the right. Back to center. And once more on the left. Back to center and relax. Good. Rock your knees from side to side. Maybe shake your head no. Maybe make some circles in your hips. Good. The next thing we're going to do is maintaining a pelvic tilt. So if you haven't heard this analogy before, imagining your pelvis as a bowl of water. If you tuck your pelvis under, water falls out the back. If you tip your tailbone up, your water falls out of the front. So you want to scoop your tailbone under, let water fall out of the back of your pelvis, and then you're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time, coming into a bridge pose. Hold it here. Maintain the tuck of your pelvis, squeeze your glutes, squeeze your lower abdominals. Now for some of you, you might find that you're not able to lift as high as you would in a bridge pose in a yoga class per se. That's okay. You're not focusing on the height of your hips, you're focusing on the tuck of your pelvis, the length of your lumbar spine. So I like to imagine I'm pulling my tailbone down towards my heels, and I have a lot of length through the front of my hips. Good. Now keep your tailbone tucked. You're going to slowly roll down from the top of your spine all the way down to your tailbone. Really push your spine against your mat. As you slowly lower, you can release your glutes. Inhale. Exhale, scoop your tailbone up and push your spine against your mat and peel one vertebrae at a time. So it's very similar to that cat-cow, segmented cat-cow we did in the beginning. Inhale. And then exhale, roll down. Make sure as you're going through these roll downs here that you're not turning your head from side to side. You don't want to throw off the alignment in your neck because you can really injure and throw off some muscles and ligaments here. Let's go one more time. Inhale. Exhale, scoop your tailbone up and roll one vertebrae at a time, keeping your hips lifted. Hold it here. Now squeeze your glutes. Imagine there's a magnet in between your inner thighs, not totally touching, but you can feel the energetic pull. Good, now we're just going to do some marches. You're going to lift your right leg up and down, left leg up and down. So now it's your job to maintain the tuck of your pelvis and squeeze your core so that your hips do not shift from side to side. If you want to place your hands gently on the outside of your glutes, you'll be able to feel if you're leaning into one side. And if you feel like you are leaning into one side, you have two options. Option one is to lower down just a little bit. Option two is to not lift your leg as high. Just lift your feet off of your mat and then lower. You don't have to lift your leg into the full reverse tabletop position. Keep squeezing your glutes. Let's go two more. Lift and lower. One more time. Lift and keep your hips high. Slowly roll down one vertebrae at a time. And then windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Excellent. Good. Roll towards one side. Let your arms do the work. Keep your spine soft and slowly come up. We're going to do a couple of different planks here. I'm going to take off my sweater so it doesn't fall in my face. So for your planks, we'll be doing a couple on your hands and a couple on your forearms. If at any time you need to rest onto your knees, totally an option. Do what feels best for you. If you're feeling like your spine is lifted or maybe you're not sure if you're staying in full alignment, I just recommend you put your phone up, videotape yourself for like a second or two, and then look, be your own teacher to figure out if your hips are exactly in line with your shoulders. So first is in your high plank position. You'll spread your fingers nice and wide. Now start to grip your fingertips into your mat. Puff your shoulders up towards the ceiling, and then step one foot back and then the other. Your feet are about hip distance as well. So you want to scoop your tailbone under, and then find that slight energetic pull of your wrists towards your toes that you did in your segmented cat-cow in the very beginning. Keep pushing your shoulders up towards the ceiling. Remember, anytime if you need to lower your knees down, you're welcome to. As long as you don't walk your knees in, be careful that you're not in a tabletop position. If you need to rest, again, just lower your knees down and keep holding. We're going to hold for 2 more breaths. Strong inhale through your nose. Strong exhale through your mouth. 1 more inhale through your nose. Strong exhale through your mouth. Good. Rest on your knees. Sit back. You can shake your wrists off. We're going to do twice more in your high plank position. 4 breaths. So only hold for 4 breaths. I am going to elevate the tension just a little bit, but remember, it's only 4 breaths. Here we go. Palms spread nice and wide. Press your fingertips down. Step your feet back. This time, bring your feet a little closer together. If you can get your legs all the way to touch, that's great. And then start to squeeze your inner thighs towards one another. You'll notice that your glutes engage a little bit more, and narrowing your stance makes it a little bit more challenging for your core. You don't get to spread the weight of your body out wide as your legs are glued together. And if you need to have a little space, you can. 1 more inhale and 1 more exhale. I didn't cue you to breathe. I hope you were breathing on your own. Shake your wrists out. We're going to go 1 more time in our plank position. 4 breaths. This time I'll cue you, so I'm just going to talk about it real quick. So this time your legs will be glued together. If you didn't do it the first time or just last time, squeeze your legs together. We're going to add a little extra tension in our hands. We're going to squeeze our arms back towards our toes, and we're going to try and slide our toes towards our hands. As I said in segmented cat-cow, they're not actually going to move, but you're going to imagine your feet and legs are cemented down, but you're trying to squeeze them towards one another. So let's get into it, and then I'll cue you for your 4 breaths. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Step your feet back. Remember, you can always lower down onto your knees if you want. Squeeze your inner thighs towards one another. Puff your shoulders up. Now squeeze your hands and your feet towards one another. You probably heard it in my voice. Instantly, I start shaking. 4 breaths here. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. If you're not shaking, squeeze more. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Good. Rest. Relax. Shake your hands out. Good. We're just going to do 2 planks on our forearms. The way I like to cue forearm plank is you're just like this. You're not making fists. You're not interlacing. Palms are flat. Fingertips are in line with your elbows, and you want to make parallel train tracks or the number 11. So come down onto your forearms. Spread your fingers wide. Plant your fingertips down. Step your feet back into your forearm plank. Now feet can be wide here if you want. You can drop your knees down if you want. Careful that your shoulders and your chest doesn't fall in between your arms. Keep pushing your shoulders up towards the ceiling. You're going to stay here and breathe for 4. 3, inhale. 2 more, inhale. And 1 more, inhale. Good, rest. Good. I'm going to do 1 more in our forearm plank, and yes, you guessed it, I am going to ramp up the tension just a little bit. So we're going to do alternating knee taps. So in your forearm plank, you're just going to gently touch your right knee down and lift, left knee down and lift. If you want to be on your knees, you can be on your knees, and then you'll gently lift your right knee up and down, left knee up and down. Be very careful that your hips aren't moving. You want to lock your spine nice and tight. Here we go. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Palms stay flat on your mat. Step your feet back. Feet are hip distance. Remember, if you want to lower down onto your knees, you're welcome to. Puff your shoulders up towards the ceiling. Here we go. Tap your right knee down and lift. Left knee down and lift. Just gentle touch and lift. Touch and lift. So keep going like this. I'll tell you when to stop. When you are touching your knee down, just a gentle touch. You don't want to put too much pressure so that your hips shift from side to side. You want to keep your low back nice and quiet. So pull your ribs and your hips a little closer towards one another. Like a very, very tiny baby tilt in your tailbone. Let's go for 4, 3, 2, and 1. You can stretch back into your child's pose. Bring your toes together, your knees wide, or if you want to come into a traditional child's pose, legs are parallel and arms are down by your side. Take a couple deep breaths. Good. And slowly roll up. All right, we're going to do a couple of stretches for our spine. So go ahead and come down onto your back. Actually, just stay seated for a second. I'm going to show you the 3 positions so that when you're laying down, you don't have to worry about looking up to see me. So just stay where you are. The first thing we're going to do is a supine figure 4. Your right ankle will go on top of your left. You'll squeeze your leg in. From here, you'll extend your right leg, and then you'll open up into your supine twist. I'll tell you how to get into it. Then from here, your left hand is gonna grab your left foot, and you're gonna roll onto your stomach into a quad stretch. We don't want to lift our tailbone up. Theme of this mobility session is keeping your lumbar spine long. So you want to scoop your tailbone under. Then from there, as we unwind, your left foot is going to cross onto your right, and then you're there for the second side to twist and then on our back. So lay on your back. Your left foot is bent. Your right leg extends up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, cross your right ankle on top of your left knee. Just pause here for a second. Use your right hand against your right thigh to push your knee away to help open up the inside of your hip. Oftentimes, our low back pain comes from tight hip flexors. So just stay here for a moment and breathe as you push your right thigh away from your pelvic bone to help open up your hip flexor. And if this feels like enough for you, stay here and breathe. If you want to get a little bit deeper for the outside of the quad, something a little bit, outside of the glute, you can pull your left knee in, engage your fingers and interlace your fingers around your left hamstring. From here, make sure that your right knee doesn't fall in towards your shoulder. Keep pushing your right knee open. You'll notice that both of my feet are flexed, so I keep a little tension in my legs. Sometimes we can be very passive here and we can just hang out. But we need to keep a little bit of tension as we pull the left knee in. And we're going to hold it here for 2 more breaths. You can close your eyes if you want. 1 more inhale. And then exhale, you're going to extend your right leg against your mat. Pull your left knee in. Inhale, open your left arm towards the side. Exhale, supine twist. Twist your left knee over towards the right. So your goal in your supine twist is to keep your left shoulder on your mat. So careful that you don't untwist or twist too much that your left shoulder comes off of your mat. If you need to unwind a little bit, that's okay. And imagine your left hip nice and long. So push your left hip down. Careful not to pike your left hip up. Imagine you're squeezing your left tailbone, or your left sits bone, all the way down towards your right heel. So you find a little bit more extension in your low back. Hold for 2 more breaths. 1 more inhale. And then exhale as you roll onto your stomach, grab your left foot and then you're gonna roll onto your stomach. You can bend your right arm so that your forehead rests on your right hand. Now scoop your tailbone under. You'll find that your hip flexors might lift off of your mat, and that's okay. Imagine you can pull your belly button off of your mat as you pull your left heel in towards your butt. So the more you can scoop your tailbone under, the deeper stretch you're gonna feel in your quad. Good, make sure your knee doesn't slide out towards the side. Hold for 2 more breaths. Release your jaw. And then exhale, you're going to reach your right arm out. As you unwind, you're going to cross your left ankle on top of your right. Pause here, flex your left foot. Push your left hand into your left thigh to open up your hip flexor. Make sure your tailbone stays down, that we're not arching our low back. Release any tension in your jaw. And if this feels enough for you, stay here and breathe. If you want to come into the full supine figure 4, keep your left knee wide as you pull your right leg in, interlacing your fingers around your right hamstring. Soften your shoulder as you pull your right knee in, push your left knee wide. Good. I didn't say this on the first side, but be aware of your neck. Sometimes our neck kind of creeps up a little bit. You want to elongate your neck. Pull your chin towards your chest like you're going to give yourself a double chin. Good. 2 more breaths here. Release any tension in your jaw. And then inhale, extend your left leg long, open up your right arm, and then exhale, supine twist. Pull your right knee over towards the left. Remember, anchor your right shoulder down. Push your right hip away from your hip and your shoulder, your ribs and your shoulders. You have a nice long side body here. Again, something I forgot to say on the first side, but if you want to look towards your fingertips, your right fingertips, as you twist away from your knee, that will give you a little bit of a counterbalance twist in your upper spine and your neck. But since we're focusing on our low back today, I really want you to focus on pulling your hip away from your ribs and anchoring your right shoulder down so you can really feel the twist in your low back. Hold for 1 more inhale. And then exhale, you're going to roll onto your stomach. And as you roll onto your stomach, you're going to grab your right knee or your right hand and right foot. Your forehead is going to go onto your left hand. Scoop your tailbone under as you pull your heel towards your butt. Find length in your low back. See, imagine you can bring your belly button off of the ground. So you're really sucking your belly button in, remembering how it felt in our dead bug to squish our back against our mat. It's the same feeling here. We just don't have that tactile cue on our back. And most of your belly buttons won't actually lift off of the ground because we're laying on our stomach. That's not how our bodies work. But try, pull your belly button up. Keep squeezing your heel towards your butt. Keep scooping your tailbone under. Hold for 1 more inhale. And then exhale, slowly release and roll onto your back. You don't have to cross your ankle. And just hug your knees in towards your chest. And as you hug your knees in, keep your tailbone nice and tight to the ground. Maybe a gentle rock from side to side. Maybe a gentle twist in your head, shaking your head no. And then curl up into a nice tight ball. Squeeze your face towards your knees and start to rock and roll the length of your mat. And as you roll, try not to pull your knees away from your chest. Try and maintain that tight ball. And then on your next rock forward, come up to a seated position, and you're done. Hopefully low back feels nice and long and you feel a little bit more supported. This is something that you can do really every single day, but if you're feeling like you've been sitting for too long, doing that figure 4 into the twist, into the quad stretch is a really great way to help open up your low back. Dead bugs, every single day. Everyone needs to be doing dead bugs every single day. And as the month progresses, I'll be showing you a couple of more progressions to make dead bugs a little bit more challenging if your body's getting too used to it and it starts to feel easy.